Hi students! Today we will be reading chapter 2 of Hope for the Flowers. Again, by Trina Paulus. We read chapter 1 last lesson and we're going to read chapter 2 today. I'm going to take my cover sleeve off for today. Sometimes I have a hard time manipulating the book to show you pictures when I have it on. So I'm taking it off today. Okay. So just to recap, the last thing that happened, Stripe pushed himself into the pile, the caterpillar pillar. Okay. Chapter 2. The first moments on the pile were a shock. Stripe was pushed and kicked and stepped on from every direction. It was climb or be climbed. We've all been there. Stripe climbed. No more fellow caterpillars on Stripe's pile. They became only threats and obstacles, which he turned into steps and opportunities. This single-minded approach really helped, and Stripe felt he was getting much higher. But some days, it seemed he could manage only to keep his place. It was especially then that an anxious shadow nagged inside. What's at the top? It whispered. Where are we even going? Students, please leave a comment in the comment section below if you're accessing my YouTube channel directly. I'd love to know your stories where you felt like it was climb or be climbed and all you could do was manage to keep your place. I know a lot of us might be feeling that right now with remote learning. On one exasperated day, Stripe couldn't stand it any longer and actually yelled back, I don't know, but there's no time to think about it. A little yellow caterpillar he was crawling over gasped. What did you say? Okay, so do you see there? Having ever had that where like in your brain you're thinking about something and then you actually talk back to your subconscious and you say it out loud because you're so frustrated or excited or scared or whatever it is. That's Stripe over here, right? And this little yellow caterpillar hears him say what he just did and is like, but what did you say? Oh, I was just talking to myself, Stripe mumbled. It really isn't important. I was just wondering where we're going. No, Yellow said. I was wondering that myself, but since there's no way to find out, I decided it wasn't important. She blushed at how silly this sounded, quickly adding, no one else seems to worry about where we're going, so it must be good. But she blushed again. How far are we from the top? Stripe answered gravely. Since we're not at the bottom and not at the top, we must be in the middle. If you answered middle out loud or in your head. Oh, said Yellow, and they both began climbing again. But now, Stripe had a new feeling. He felt bad. He had lost his single-mindedness. How can I step on someone I've just talked to? So now that he's met this yellow caterpillar, he's like, I don't know if I can just climb over all these caterpillars. Like, what's happening? Is this right for me to do, right? So Stripe avoided Yellow as much as possible. But one day, there she was, blocking the only way up. Well, I guess it's you or me, he said, and stepped squarely on her head. But something in the way Yellow looked at him made him feel just awful about himself. Like, no matter what it is up there, it just isn't worth it. Starting to feel guilty, maybe, right? So Stripe crawled off Yellow and whispered, I'm sorry. Yellow began to cry. I could stand this life hoping in what was ahead until I met you talking to yourself that day. Since then, my heart just hasn't been in it, but I don't know what to do. I didn't know how badly I felt about this life until then, and now when you look at me so kindly, I know for sure I don't like this life. I just want to do something like crawl with you and nibble grass. Stripe's heart leapt inside. Everything slowly looked different. The pillar made no sense at all. I would like that too, he whispered. But this meant giving up the climb, a hard decision. Okay, so they're making a connection, friendship, similar concerns about where they're headed. Yellow dear, maybe we're close to the top. Maybe if we help each other, we can get there quickly. Maybe, she said. But they both knew this wasn't what they wanted most. Let's go down, Yellow said. Okay. And they stopped climbing. They clung to each other as masses of caterpillars crawled over them. The air was terrible, but they were happy with each other and made a big ball so nobody could step on their eyes and stomachs. Oops, picture. There they are, balled up. They did nothing at all for what seemed a long time. Suddenly, they didn't feel crawling over them anymore. They rolled and unrolled and opened their eyes. They were at the side of the caterpillar pillar. So they came down. Hi, Stripe, said Yellow. Hi, Yellow, said Stripe. And they crawled off into some fresh green grass to eat and take a nap. And just before they fell asleep, Stripe hugged Yellow. Being together like this is sure different from being crushed in that crowd. It sure is, she smiled and closed her eyes. So notice there's a lot of this color change here on these illustrations. Perhaps because they see a new light. Chapter 3, coming up next. Stay tuned.